The parent-teacher relationship is sacred, but sometimes it descends into pure chaos. We're not talking about grades or homework. We're talking about the 55 most bizarre, illogical, and hilariously unhinged complaints ever filed with a school. From a mother claiming her son is allergic to another kid's personality to a father who invoiced the school for homework time, this is a journey into peak parental insanity. 1. You know the iconic, unmissable color of a school bus? That bright, safety-first yellow? Well, one parent decided that color was the enemy. She filed a formal complaint that the shade was psychologically aggressive and was putting her son in a state of heightened anxiety before he even stepped foot in school. Her proposed solution: it was for the district to provide her son with his own personal bus, painted a soothing, emotionally stable green. She was completely serious. Apparently, her son required an emotionally supportive vehicle for his daily commute. 2. The school's chess club seemed like a perfectly wholesome activity. But one parent saw it as a sinister tool of political indoctrination. He complained that the game of chess was riddled with monarchical propaganda, forcing children to protect a king and queen while sacrificing the working-class pawn. He accused the club of subtly teaching kids to accept a feudal class structure and demanded it be replaced with a more democratically spirited game. 3. A high school history teacher was teaching a lesson on mythology and folklore and accidentally mentioned that dragons, although amazing creatures, are still mythical. The next day, an angry mother came to him and accused him of spreading historical lies and destroying her child's cultural beliefs. She claimed that she had ancestors who had proven the reality of dragons and that the school was part of a global conspiracy to erase them from history. She even brought a folder with evidence from the internet. The teacher just wondered if he should tell the children about unicorns too. 4. You know the classic playground game of tag? Apparently, it's a brutal and predatory activity. A parent complained that the game was teaching children a dangerous hunter-prey mindset. He was horrified that one child is singled out as it and forced to chase the others, claiming it caused anxiety for both the chaser and the chased. His solution? The school should ban all pursuit-based games and replace them with non-confrontational, cooperative pastimes, like standing in a circle and holding hands. 5. A drama teacher was incredibly proud of the school's production of Night of the Living Dead the musical. That is until a parent complained that the casting was biologically inaccurate and offensive. Her child, a proud vegetarian, was cast as a zombie. The mother insisted that zombies are, by definition, exclusively meat-eaters who crave brains, and forcing her vegetarian son to pretend to be a carnivore was a violation of his dietary principles. She demanded he be recast as a herbivorous ghoul, or she would take this to the school board. 6. We've all felt the pain of too much homework. But one dad took it to a whole new level. He sent the school a formally itemized invoice for the time his daughter spent on her 5th grade math homework. The bill included charges for loss of family bonding time at a rate of $40 an hour, a pencil and paper usage fee, and a line item for emotional distress caused by long division. He claimed the school owed him over $200 for the week and threatened to send the bill to a collections agency if it wasn't paid promptly. 7. When a child falls off the monkey bars, it's a pretty standard playground event. But for one mom, it was evidence of a serious scientific anomaly at the school. She filed a complaint that the school's gravity was overly aggressive. She was dead serious, claiming that the gravity on the school grounds felt stronger and more dangerous than the gravity at their home. Her solution wasn't to tell her kid to be more careful. It was for the school to install gravity-dampening mats around all the play equipment. Sir Isaac Newton was unavailable for comment. 8. During a history lesson about the American Revolution, a teacher mentioned a local historical figure who was a bit of a scoundrel, a war profiteer who sold faulty supplies to the troops. This did not sit well with one parent, who happened to be a distant descendant of the man. She complained that the lesson was damaging the family brand and demanded the teacher revise the curriculum to portray her ancestor in a more positive light. Her suggestion? Just tell the kids he was a misunderstood entrepreneur who was simply ahead of his time. 9. A first-grade teacher was approached by a parent with a very unusual request. Her daughter was having trouble making friends, so the mother wanted the teacher to implement a mandated friendship. She had identified a particularly popular and well-behaved classmate and demanded the teacher force that child to be her daughter's best friend. She even presented a list of required friendship activities, including sitting together at lunch and a minimum of 2 compliments per day. The teacher had to explain that friendships, unlike homework, cannot be assigned. 10. In an effort to promote inclusivity, a school's annual sports day ended with every participant receiving a trophy. This backfired spectacularly. A father whose son had genuinely won the 100-meter dash by a huge margin was furious. He complained that the "everyone gets a trophy" policy had completely devalued his son's victory and diluted the very concept of achievement. He was literally angry that the school was being too nice to the kids who lost. 11. A parent was absolutely livid after their daughter's class took a field trip to the state's Natural History Museum. The complaint? The trip was excessively educational and lacked entertainment value. She argued that her child spent the entire day looking at old bones and rocks instead of experiencing something genuinely fun, like a water park or an arcade. She actually suggested that future school-sanctioned trips should be required to have a minimum 70% fun-to-learning ratio. Because God forbid a school actually, try to teach something. 12. After a parent-teacher conference, a father stayed behind to lodge a complaint about the classroom's globe. He wasn't upset about its age or condition. He was upset that it was spherical. As a staunch flat earther, he accused the school of pushing globalist propaganda and demanded they provide equal instructional time to the flat earth model. He wanted a large, disc-shaped map of the Earth prominently displayed next to every globe to give students a balanced and fair perspective. Should schools have to teach every theory, no matter how disconnected from reality it is? 13. A teacher separated 2 feuding kids, and one mother's response was a doctor's note claiming her son was allergic to another student's personality. Seriously. She claimed the other boy's negative aura caused her son a rash and headaches and demanded the school enforce a 50-foot personality-free zone around him, treating it like a severe peanut allergy. 14. A school was dealing with a pretty standard urban problem: pigeons hanging out in the schoolyard. That is until one parent became convinced it was a conspiracy. He complained that the school was intentionally luring the pigeons to the property for nefarious purposes. He couldn't specify what those purposes were, but he was sure the pigeons were part of a secret surveillance program or were being used to spread government mind control agents. He demanded the principal cease all avian operations immediately. 15. The school mascot was the mighty bulldog. Harmless, right? Wrong. A mother complained that the constant depiction of the mascot was giving her son, and I quote, a species identity crisis. She claimed he was becoming confused about whether he was a human or a canine and had started barking at the mailman. She insisted the school needed to pick a less impressionable mascot, perhaps an inanimate object like a rock, to avoid further psychological damage to the student body. 16. In a move to modernize its curriculum, an elementary school phased out teaching cursive handwriting. One dad saw this not as an educational shift, but as a deep state plot. He filed a multi-page complaint alleging that the school was part of a government conspiracy to make future generations illiterate. His theory was that if kids couldn't read cursive, they wouldn't be able to read the original founding documents like the Constitution, thus making them easier to control. Apparently, third-grade handwriting class is the last line of defense for American democracy. 17. The loud, shrill buzz of the school bell signaling the end of a class is a universal sound. For one parent, however, it was a weapon. She complained that the bell's specific audio frequency was causing sonic-induced anxiety in her child. She provided a study from a wellness blog and demanded the school replace its entire bell system. Her suggested alternative? A team of soothing tone minstrels who would gently strum harps in the hallways to signal class changes, because nothing says time for math like a medieval bard. 18. Most parents don't pay much attention to the color of the school's hallways, as long as they're clean. But one parent, who fancied himself an amateur interior designer, found the school's choice of beige to be a personal offense. He complained that the color was a soul-crushing void of inspiration that was actively stifling his daughter's creative potential. He demanded the entire school be repainted in a more vibrant and emotionally stimulating palette, and he even offered his consulting services for a modest fee. 19. This one might be the champion of all complaints. A mother demanded a meeting with the principal because another student in her son's class was, quote, breathing his air. She wasn't talking about coughing or sneezing. She was literally complaining that another child, who sat at a nearby desk, was consuming oxygen that rightfully belonged to her son. She requested that a personal breathing zone be established around his desk. How would you even respond to that without just laughing? 20. After a creative writing assignment, a teacher was charmed by a student's story about her imaginary friend, a purple dragon named Sparky. The parent was not charmed. She filed a complaint that the teacher was actively encouraging communication with non-corporeal entities and validating a potentially dangerous delusion. She was terrified that by acknowledging the imaginary friend, the school was opening a portal for actual spirits to enter the classroom. She wanted the teacher to tell her daughter that Sparky wasn't real, and maybe to get the classroom blessed, just in case. 21. A school took pride in the beautiful mature oak trees that lined its property, providing shade for the playground. That is, until a parent complained the trees were unpatriotic. After doing some research, he discovered they were English oaks. He was genuinely offended that the school was harboring foreign foliage and demanded they be cut down and replaced with true American trees, like maples or sequoias. He was literally accusing the trees of being leafy, wooden traitors. 22. After the school nurse conducted a routine hearing test for a first-grade class, a parent filed a complaint that the test was discriminatory against children with selective hearing. She argued that her son wasn't failing the test because of a medical issue. He just chose not to hear certain tones because they were uninteresting to him. She demanded that the school's official records be changed to reflect that his hearing was not poor, but highly discerning. So the classic, "I'm not ignoring you, I'm curating my audio experience" defense. 23. A school's International Day created an existential crisis for a student of both Irish and Italian descent. The choice of which dish to bring was agonizing. His mother filed a formal complaint, accusing the school of enforced cultural selection that was causing her son significant emotional turmoil. She demanded they create a new policy for mixed heritage children, allowing them to submit a heritage fusion dish instead of being forced to pick a favorite side of their family tree. 24. A teacher named Mrs. Wojciechowski had been teaching at the school for 15 years without issue, until a new parent complained that her last name was an unreasonable phonetic burden on the students. The parent argued that the cognitive load of trying to pronounce Wojciechowski was taking up valuable brain space that his child could be using for math. He didn't just suggest a nickname. He demanded she legally change her name to something simpler, like Smith, for the sake of the children's convenience. 25. A teacher decided to get a class pet, a harmless hamster named Captain Fluffington. But one parent saw Captain Fluffington not as a cute, furry friend, but as a symbol of corporate oppression. His complaint stated that the hamster, by running on its wheel, was teaching children that it's okay to run endlessly in a cage, going nowhere, for the benefit of a higher authority. He accused the hamster of being a tool of the capitalist indoctrination machine. 26. During an art class, a student painted a picture of their family. The son in the picture was, as is common for kids, in the top corner of the page. The parent complained that this was artistically lazy and the teacher's fault for not enforcing proper solar placement. She insisted that the son should always be depicted in a realistically central and dominant position in all student artwork. She was basically demanding that her 6-year-old adhere to the principles of heliocentrism in finger painting. 27. Instead of worrying about the teacher playing favorites, one mom complained because her son wasn't the teacher's pet. Furious that another child got all the praise, she didn't demand fairness for everyone. She demanded a formal teacher's pet rotation schedule, arguing every child deserved equal opportunity favoritism and a designated week to be the undisputed favorite. She wanted fair and equal access to being the best. 28. It's a tale as old as time. A kid gets a B+ on a paper and the parent thinks they deserved an A. But this parent's reasoning was unique. He complained that the teacher's red pen, used for grading, had negative energy. He claimed the specific wavelength of red ink created a subconscious barrier to academic success and was psychically blocking his son's ability to get a perfect score. His proposed solution? The teacher must switch to a green pen, which he believed had a more prosperous and high-achieving aura. 29. After her son bombed a history test, a mother's excuse was legendary. It wasn't a lack of studying, it was the teacher's handwriting being too good. She claimed the perfect, elegant cursive was so mesmerizing that her son spent the entire test in a trance, unable to focus on the questions. She demanded a retest, printed in a boring standard non-hypnotic font. 30. After a lesson on the water cycle, a kindergartner came home and explained evaporation to his parents. The next day, his mother called the principal in a panic. She was complaining that the school had taught her son how to disappear. She was terrified that he would try to evaporate himself from his bedroom and float away into the atmosphere. She demanded the school issue a formal retraction of the entire water cycle concept and reassure the children that they are, in fact, solid and cannot turn into a gas. 31. You would think a fire drill is a non-negotiable part of school safety. Apparently, one parent considered it a form of psychological warfare. They filed a formal complaint that the unannounced drill was an unauthorized simulation of a disaster that caused their child pre-traumatic stress disorder. They demanded that for all future drills, the school must provide at least 1 week's written notice, a detailed itinerary of the simulated emergency, and offer optional safe space activities for students who found the concept of fire too alarming. 32. A parent, armed with an article they found on a wellness blog, stormed into the principal's office with a truly bizarre complaint. The school was providing too much oxygen. They claimed that the excessively rich oxygen mixture in the classrooms was making the children hyperactive and difficult to manage when they got home in the evening. They demanded that the school's HVAC system be immediately adjusted to lower the oxygen levels to create a more calm and balanced atmospheric environment. The principal had to gently explain that they do not, in fact, control the Earth's atmosphere. 33. After a science lesson on how plants create oxygen through photosynthesis, a parent complained that the classroom's potted fern was stealing all the good air. He had fundamentally misunderstood the concept and was convinced the plant was consuming the classroom's oxygen supply at an alarming rate, leaving only carbon dioxide for the students. He demanded the immediate removal of all aggressive foliage from the building to ensure the children had enough air to breathe. Sir, I think you're the one running low on oxygen. 34. School spirit is all about wearing the school colors with pride. Unless, of course, those colors clash with your child's personal brand. A mother complained that the school's official colors, a bold royal blue and gold, were visually disharmonious with her son's autumnal color palette. She claimed that forcing him to wear the colors for gym class was an aesthetic assault that negatively impacted his self-esteem. She requested he be granted an exemption and allowed to wear a more flattering shade of olive green instead. 35. A father complained after seeing his home state of Nebraska was far from the center of the world map in his son's textbook. He accused the school of extreme geopolitical bias for using maps centered on the prime meridian, claiming it gave his son a marginalized global perspective. He demanded the school purchase custom maps centered precisely on Lincoln, Nebraska, because nothing says well-rounded education like believing you're the literal center of the universe. 36. You'd think a parent would be thrilled if their kid's soccer team was on a massive winning streak, right? Apparently not. One mom demanded a meeting with the principal and the coach to complain that the team was winning too much. Her reasoning was that the constant victories were setting her son up for future disappointment in life. She seriously argued that the team needed to lose a few games on purpose to build character and manage his expectations. She wanted the school to schedule a loss. Let that sink in. 37. Learning about dinosaurs is a rite of passage for most kids. But for one second grader's mom, it was a source of deep anxiety. She complained that teaching her child about mass extinction events was unnecessarily grim and was giving him preemptive existential dread. She argued that the curriculum should focus only on animals that are still alive and well. Should we shield children from all of history's uncomfortable truths just because they're sad? 38. It was school picture day, and one mother was appalled by the results. Her complaint wasn't about a forced smile or messy hair. She complained that the photographer's lighting setup had completely washed out her daughter's aura. She insisted that the harsh fluorescent flash had failed to capture the child's indigo energy and demanded a retake with a professional aura photographer who could do justice to her daughter's unique spiritual frequency. This was apparently a photonic injustice. 39. A parent became irate that his son's third-grade classroom still had an analog clock on the wall. He claimed it was irresponsible to teach children an obsolete and inefficient time-telling interface. He argued that reading a clock with hands was causing his son temporal anxiety, and that the school had a duty to prepare students for a digital-only future. 40. We've all seen those signs in school parking lots. No idling. One dad took this as a personal attack on his car. He complained to the principal that the sign was vehicle shaming. He argued that his older model SUV needed to idle for a few minutes to warm up its spirit, and that forcing him to turn it off was disrespectful to its mechanical heritage. He seriously proposed that the school should create a designated vintage engine contemplation zone where older cars could idle in peace. 41. A first-grade math teacher was proudly teaching her students the numbers 0 through 10. This simple lesson prompted a complaint from a father who accused the school of teaching advanced nihilism. He argued that the number 0 represents nothingness and a total lack of value, and that introducing this concept to 6-year-olds was damaging their self-esteem and planting seeds of existential despair. He demanded that the number 0 be removed from all mathematical instruction, suggesting kids just start counting from 1. He was apparently preparing his son for a future without computer programming and bank accounts. 42. A high school physics teacher was explaining Newton's third law of motion. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. The next day, he was confronted by a furious father. The parent accused him of promoting a pessimistic and negative worldview, where every action has a consequence. He insisted the school should instead be teaching a more optimistic, actions without consequences philosophy to foster a sense of unlimited potential in students. He was literally complaining about the fundamental laws of the universe. 43. A student was consistently late for school, and the administration had to address it with his father. The father's explanation was not what they expected. He claimed his son didn't operate on standard linear time, and that his body had a unique, non-traditional circadian rhythm. He argued that punishing his son for tardiness was discriminatory against his alternative temporal state. and demanded the school's schedule be made more flexible to accommodate his son's personal timeline. 44. After a glowing report card praising a student's consistently positive and cheerful attitude, his mother scheduled an urgent meeting. She wasn't there to thank the teacher. She was there to complain. She was deeply concerned that the school was making her son unrealistically happy and failing to prepare him for the inevitable soul-crushing disappointment of adult life. She actually requested that he be given more difficult, frustrating assignments to help temper his expectations. 45. A teacher encouraged her fourth graders to use the classroom dictionary to look up words they didn't know. This prompted a complaint from a parent who had reviewed the dictionary and was horrified by its contents. She was upset that it contained negative and discouraging words like failure, mediocre, and boring. She demanded the school provide a curated, positive-only dictionary for the children, one that would only build their self-esteem and not expose them to life's unpleasant vocabulary. 46. A high school was facing a formal complaint from a parent who wanted their child exempt from Algebra 2. The reason wasn't a learning disability or a lack of aptitude. The parent claimed that mathematics was against their family's religion. Their argument was that the use of unknown variables like x and y promoted a form of secular mysticism, and that solving for these unknowns was akin to dabbling in the occult. They insisted that only numbers with concrete, known values were spiritually acceptable. The math department was completely baffled. 47. The annual science fair is a showcase of young minds at work. One parent, however, saw it as a showcase of pathetic scientific inaccuracy. Her daughter's classmate had made the classic baking soda volcano. The parent complained that this was a geological oversimplification, that was an insult to volcanology. She insisted that if the school was going to allow volcano projects, they should require a certain level of realism, complete with functioning tectonic plates and a labeled magma chamber. 48. Due to allergy concerns, a school had a strict no food sharing policy at lunchtime. One mother found this rule to be a form of social cruelty. Her reasoning? She made such incredibly delicious gourmet sandwiches for her son that forcing him not to share them with his less fortunate bologna-eating classmates was emotionally damaging to the other kids. She argued the policy was depriving others of a culinary experience. 49. The sight of elementary kids walking in a single-file line was, to one father, a sinister form of social engineering. He complained the practice was a prelude to totalitarianism, designed to crush individuality and promote mindless conformity. His alternative was unstructured hallway navigation, insisting kids should navigate the halls freely to encourage leadership and independent thought. He basically wanted the school's hallways to resemble a chaotic flash mob, all in the name of fighting the system. 50. A school librarian was delighted to see a student checking out books on ancient Egypt. The student's mother, however, was not. She complained that the library was promoting pyramid schemes. She had genuinely confused the massive historical structures with multi-level marketing scams. She was worried her daughter was being groomed to sell cursed essential oils and demanded that all books containing the word pyramid be removed from the library immediately to protect the students from financial ruin. 51. You expect complaints about cafeteria food. Maybe it's too mushy, too bland, or not healthy enough. But one mom's complaint was about geometry. She was furious that the fish sticks served on Fridays were rectangular. She argued that this was anatomically deceptive and confusing for the children. Her formal written request stated that all fish-based products should be shaped like actual fish to avoid creating a disconnect between the food and its animal origin. She even included a hand-drawn diagram of what an acceptable, fish-shaped fish stick should look like. 52. It was the annual school sports day, and a father was furious before the kindergarten 50-yard dash even began. He complained that the race was fundamentally unfair because another boy had longer legs. His demand wasn't for a head start. It was far more creative. He insisted the race should not be measured by distance, but by the number of steps taken. He argued that a 100-step dash was the only way to ensure true equality, completely ignoring that this would fundamentally punish kids for being efficient runners. 53. A kindergarten teacher was promoting the foundational concept of, being a decent human being, sharing. But one parent wasn't having it. They filed a formal complaint stating that forcing their son to share his toys was teaching him the basics of communism and stifling his innate entrepreneurial spirit. The parent insisted their child should be allowed to hoard all the best toys, and if other kids wanted to play, they should have to trade for them. They were apparently preparing their 5-year-old to be a ruthless Wall Street tycoon, one Lego block at a time. 54. After a heated game of kickball at recess, a second grader went home upset that his team lost. The next morning, the principal received an email from the boy's father. The complaint wasn't about another student or a bad call from the teacher. No, the father officially complained that the sun was positioned unfairly in the sky, creating a glare that disadvantaged his son's team. His proposed solution? The school should consult an almanac and reschedule recess for a time of day with more neutral solar positioning, because obviously the cosmos was cheating his kid. 55. A parent complained that the school's water fountains were dispensing left-handed water. No, you did not hear that wrong. He had read a conspiracy theory online that water molecules can have a spin, and that the school was deliberately providing water that spun in a counterclockwise or sinister direction, which he believed was less healthy. He brought in a bottle of premium right-handed water from home as an example and demanded the school's plumbing be reversed. And that's our roundup of the craziest parent complaints. From fish sticks being used as weapons to the wrong color of the school bus, it's clear that for some people, common sense is an elective they decided to skip. It's surprising that teachers get anything done at all. But now let's get to the real question. Which parent on this list has reached the absolute undisputed peak of absurdity? I need to see who you guys think is the undisputed champion of craziness. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next time we dive into the glorious world of human absurdity.